I have always thought that Roronoa Zoro was probably inspired by Miyamoto Musashi, the legendary Japanese samurai, but I never really stopped to wonder, where does the name Roronoa Zoro actually come from? Let's start with Zoro. That part of the name is pretty straightforward. It's inspired by the masked hero Zoro from the famous Spanish TV show, but Roronoa, that's not a name you hear in recent memory or in pop culture references. To my surprise, while browsing the One Piece SBS wiki, I found the pirate that actually inspired the name. And let me tell you, he is as terrifying as he is legendary. His name, François Lolone. Not ringing a bell, right? Well, that's because the Japanese reading of Lolone is actually Roronoa. Buckle up, because this pirate story is a wild one. François Lolone was a French pirate in the 1600s after spending 10 grueling years as a servant in the Caribbean, basically a worker with no payment or any form of reward. Well, that's the definition of a slave in my book. And after finishing his servitude, and like many before him, he decided to screw it and dive headfirst into life of piracy. What followed was a bloody, brutal career that earned him the nickname Bane of Spain. And if that wasn't bad enough, his crew was ambushed by Spanish soldiers, leaving nearly all of his men dead. But Lolone wasn't about to die that easily. He covered himself in the blood of his fallen comrades and laid among their corpses, pretending to be dead. I would say that is something that Usopp might do, but for some reason, this scene reminded me of the iconic confrontation of Kuma and Zoro. And when the coast was clear, François escaped without any major damage, already showing his ruthless cunning. But that's just the beginning. After regrouping, Lolone took an entire town hostage for ransom. The government of Havana wasn't having it. They sent an entire ship to kill him. Spoiler alert, it did not work. Lolone captured the ship, beheaded the crew, and left only one survivor to deliver a message: cross me again and it will be even worse. As his legend grew, so did his fleet. At the height of his reign of terror, he commanded 8 ships and 440 men. Man, that looks like Yonko there. One of his most infamous exploits was the sacking of Maracaibo in Venezuela. In 1666, Lolone and his men captured a Spanish treasure, plundering 260,000 Spanish dollars and much more loot than they could carry. When they reached the impregnable city of Maracaibo, Lolone didn't hesitate from the undefended landward side, conquering the city within hours. The residents had hidden their treasure and fled, but Lolone wasn't one to give up that easily. He ordered his men to torture the locals until they revealed where the treasure was, leaving the city burned by the end of his brutal occupation. After looting Maracaibo, Lolone kept his bloodthirsty campaign going. His next target was Honduras in 1667. He set out an expedition there with his crew, but this time fate would not be so kind. Ambushed by a group of Spanish soldiers, François found himself cornered, but instead of fleeing or surrendering, this time he made one of the most savage decisions in piracy history. He captured 2 hostages and in front of the horrified crew, he cut open the chest of one of them, pulled the man's heart, and ate it. This gruesome act terrified the remaining Spaniards, who showed Lolone way to escape. François Lolone carved a path of destruction across the Caribbean for years, before finally meeting a gruesome end by the very people he terrorized. Many of his accomplishments might sound like an exaggeration, right? But sadly, we have some historical proof of the towns and the people he terrorized. The actual golden age of piracy in the 1600s harbored many savage and brutal human beings. Many Oda-sama took inspiration from. Pirates like Edward Teach, the actual Blackbeard, Black Sam Bellamy, William Captain Kidd, and you see the pattern, right? These pirates did some nasty things. Really, really nasty things. It might started from a dark place in their life, injustice and inequality. But their actions are never justified. Maybe that's why Oda-sama created the One Piece universe, to show us your past and sad experiences might turn you into a dark and evil pirate like Blackbeard, or it might turn you into a noble human being that, despite being a pirate, its only purpose is adventure and freedom. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and as always, see you next time. Bye.